I think that no movie this past year has challenged me as much as one of your favorites, which is Melancholia. And let me tell you, Lars von Trier, obviously he's a filmmaker of tremendous gifts, and he's a provocateur. And I have heard from more people that have seen this film. They haven't seen any of his other films necessarily, but they chose to watch this film, and they've really enjoyed it. I don't know if enjoyed it, appreciated it.
Yeah, appreciate it.
They've really gotten something out of it. So in a way, I guess it's one of his most mainstream efforts.
Oh, I think it is. I don't know whether it was consciously, but this is my first film that I've seen of his. And so I didn't have the baggage of the past films and the kind of misogyny that's in his films. And my friend and colleague David Elliott just hates the man and hated this film because, I think partially because it came from von Trier, where I didn't come to this with any baggage. I just took it as an experience of life and death and facing the ultimate, and that I really did not expect to get so involved in it. And I emailed other members of the Las Vegas Film Critics Society, you've got to see this. Now, I expected that most wouldn't like it because it is a difficult film. But I was really surprised at how many people did affirm it. And then when I saw the other day that it had won the Best Picture of the Year from the National Society of Film Critics, I was really jolted. I know that they usually pick foreign films, but this film, when I saw it, I said, is this going to appeal to anybody? It appeals to me because I think there's truth in it, and I think there's great humanity in it, and I really loved the performance of Kirsten Dunst as Justine.
Me too.
And she may not even get a nomination. I hope she does, but I would guess that Michelle Williams will win which I have no problem with her winning for Marilyn, My Week with Marilyn. But the film, we were talking previously about Kubrick, and I think that there's some things in this that Kubrick would love. He would love the portrayal of he would appreciate the portrayal of humanity as being worthless, or of not nearly as self-important as it thinks it is. And he would like the second half, the impact, and how different human beings face a great threat and dread and despair, and how this woman shows courage in the face of that.
I do love Kirsten Dunst in it, and I feel that the portrayal of depression, as it's shown in the film, it feels true. And of course it would, because Lars von Trier himself has discussed his bouts of depression. And
she had it too. You know that Kirsten Dunst shared it too. So it really was an experience that was personal for both of them. And it strikes me as a very brave performance. Because when she says that the earth doesn't matter and the life doesn't matter, and yet she still faces her humanity, it faces whatever comes with great humanity and great intelligence also. I think that would appeal to Stanley.
The earth is evil. We don't need to grieve for it. Nobody will miss it. Why would Leo grow up? All I know is life on Earth is evil. There may be life somewhere else, but there isn't. How do you know? Because I know things.
Well, to tell you what I thought of it, this is a movie that I cannot dismiss, and I admired the movie, but I did not vibe with its worldview, with its view of humanity, because for me, when I saw it, it seemed to be saying that nothing means anything. The love of your family, the love of your loved ones, the certainty of science, everything fails you. And in the end, the only person equipped to face the end of the world is the person that knows that it's meaningless. There's nothing to it. And
I would look at it a little bit differently. That maybe all we have ultimately is ourselves, and that she calls on her inner strength, and that appeals to me. I mean, when is the last time that you and I have seen any humility in this society? Is humility a dead concept completely? The whole world, no matter how ignorant you are, feels entitled. And I'm not talking about political entitlement. I'm just talking about people think that they are better than what they have achieved, and maybe better than anything anybody has witnessed in them. And I really admire this character. I think she wouldn't. It's not totally negative, because she knows her humanity and she knows her own truth. And to me, that's a wonderful thing. Anybody who tries to know his own truth probably becomes alienated, because so many things are obstacles in the way of that, or in fact, enemies of truth. So I see what you're saying. It is a nihilistic view, but the character does not surrender because things are not what she wanted them to be or what she hoped them to be.
Right. No, I understand. I appreciate that point of view, and I hadn't considered it on those terms before. As I was watching it, I was thinking how I read it about that everything is meaningless, and he sets it up in that fashion too, particularly with the Kiefer Sutherland character that offs himself within minutes of finding out that they're doomed.
But everything in her world is meaningless. Mm-hmm. I mean, when her sister starts to give her this ritualistic, we're going to act this way, and we're going to act this way, and we're going to act this way, because that's what the culture has inculcated. That's the virtues or the values that she's been given, but they don't come from her. They come from outside of her. And Justin absolutely smashes them. I mean, she obliterates her sister's words, because they are, in her view, false obfuscations. They keep a person from understanding who ultimately he or she is, can be, and perhaps must be, to fulfill his or her humanity.
Another filmmaker came to mind when I was watching it and kind of grappling with my thoughts on it, and that was Woody Allen. And it's particularly an interesting parallel because of his last film, Midnight in Paris, which was another one of my favorites. I believe yours too.
Mine too. Yeah.
His kind of viewpoint, and he expressed it in the documentary that was made about him, and it's even expressed, Kathy Bates has a line about it in Midnight in Paris, is that, yes, I believe there's no God, there's nothing after this, there's nothing you do on this earth won't mean anything when you're gone, and he can't imagine that anything he's left will have that much of a lasting impact or impression. But his viewpoint is, as an artist, it's my mission to try to find meaning in what I do, and I just felt that's a worthy challenge right there.
Well, I think Von Trier found meaning in her. I think that both Kirsten Dunst and he found meaning in their hopelessness and how to face it. Mm-hmm. I mean, it doesn't mean that we give up. It doesn't mean that we live worthless lives. It doesn't mean that we follow the rules and regulations and regimens of society. We are, I hope, at our best, individuals independent of other people's oppression. So I think that I would not have liked this film nearly as much if she had been indifferent. At the end, she's not indifferent. She makes a gesture. She faces. I mean, and she's not indifferent, and she's not coy. I think there's a truth, a real shattering truth that I felt. I also think that this may be, when we go over the films of this year, there are very few that we'll remember in 5 years.
Yeah.
And this film won't be seen by a large audience, but this is the film that I will remember.